Following the release of their annual financial results last week, the JSE indicated that it was preparing for the possibility of a collapse of the country's electricity grid, adding that it was working with market players as well as regulators to be ready for any eventuality. Hospital group Netcare also indicated that it was working on contingency plans to ensure that some of its staff are housed at its facilities in the event of a national blackout, in order to ensure that it continues to deliver ongoing services to its patients. A number of JSE-listed companies have long announced plans to invest in renewable energy to limit or wholly end their reliance on the national grid. One energy observer whose country has experienced national blackouts says South Africa doesn't have to go that route.
I think it's important for South Africans to learn lessons from what has happened in Nigeria so that the same mistakes are not repeated. We've gone through a process where we've gone to ground zero several times, and we now have an active import state for generators. It doesn't have to be that way in South Africa. We need to get the South African government to think about unbundling its power assets, and also to do a much more robust investment power drive, to bring more investors here who can work across the value chain, not just generation, but also distribution and transmission, and also to work in the renewable energy sector.
In response to a court case by the UDM and 18 others, which charges that Eskom is undermining South Africans' constitutional rights by the practice of load shedding, former Eskom CEO Andre de Ruyter explained that load shedding has to be implemented as a last resort measure to save the national grid from collapse. Standard Bank CEO Sim Shabalala has said a national blackout would be akin to the unleashing of Armageddon, referring to resultant scarce food availability, water and sewage constraints, and a general meltdown that would lead to social unrest of untold proportions, although he sees the probability of this happening as low. There's a feeling that with a number of South African stakeholders already at work to deal with the energy crisis, this will indeed help to stave off any possibility of a national blackout.
I'm very optimistic seeing the way people are talking here, the industry is talking here. Even the ministry is giving a lot of now emphasis on load shedding. I think they have realized that they have hit the worst part of load shedding, and only way can be upwards from here.
The reality is that the country can ill afford a total grid collapse, the pain being endured by economic players and broader society under the current load shedding regime is bad enough.
Currently, it increased our operational costs because now we have to hire generators, spend a lot of money on diesel and so forth. So we are looking for better alternative solutions, to this energy crisis. And one of the biggest challenges is the scarce skills in our community, where we can't find young people who can install solar panels and so forth.
While there's a general feeling that the probability of a national blackout is low, the insurance sector is not taking any chances. Some insurance companies are reported to have introduced grid failure exclusions as far back as last year. Even the South African Special Risk Insurance Association, SASRIA, which covered massive losses resulting from the July unrest, has indicated that it too will not cover consequential losses as a result of severe load shedding or a complete blackout. Nompumela Losiziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.